Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today we'll be talking about battlecruisers and how, well, I would very much like to see them get added into the game. I know I've talked about this subject one or two times, just mentioning it in a couple of videos, and we're just going to dive a little bit deeper into this topic and talk about potentially how they could be added into the game, and especially with some recent announcements and some changes that will be coming to the game in the game's future. We're going to discuss how that would affect how battlecruisers get dished out. And I say how because it really is just a matter of time before Wargaming has to start to add in more and more battlecruisers. So let's take a look at the way that they're currently implementing most battlecruisers right now. So we already have a fair few battlecruisers that are in the game as battleships. The Hood is a prime example of this. She's a battlecruiser, but she is currently right now a tier 7 premium battleship. But we also have the Alaska, which is, well, if you ask the U.S. Navy, it's a very, very, very large cruiser, but it's a battlecruiser by any other name, and that is currently a tier 9 premium cruiser. And we also have ships like the Stalingrad, which is just its nature, a battlecruiser, but hey, it's a tier 10 premium Soviet cruiser. So we have very, very, very different interpretations of how to implement battlecruisers in the game right now. And the only way they could really tie this down is to introduce a battlecruiser class for future battlecruisers, and just let the current battlecruiser, quote-unquote supercruisers, and battlecruisers that are labeled as battleships remain in their spots as is. And that's what I thought they would eventually have to do, and it would add more variety to the game, but it runs into several issues quite quickly out of the gates. Because if they do this would now be another class on top of CVs, battleships, battlecruisers, cruisers, destroyers, and now submarines in the game. And that's 6 classes. That's not counting hybrid ships, but it looks like hybrid ships for now are going to be their own thing, just stuck in whatever class the base ship is. So for example, the Issei is a converted battleship, so it's a battleship and it's in the battleship slot, which leads to issues in and of itself, but that's a different video for a different time. And that's 6 classes, alright? There's only 12 ships per side in a match, and with the 5 classes we have in game right now, so the normal carriers, battleships, cruisers, and destroyers, 4, I can't count, I'm not a math teacher. It's a pretty healthy spread. You normally get anywhere, well, ideally you'd get roughly about 1 CV, 4 battleships, 4 cruisers, and then maybe 3 DDs. That would be an ideal spread, but some days it's 5 battleships, 6 cruisers, no battleships, no destroyers, a weird combination. But throwing in 2 more classes there, it's more variety, but it's going to be pretty crowded in terms of class layout, which may be a good thing. Less just cruisers and plain old battleships, maybe more battle cruisers and more maybe less cruisers too, with battle cruisers coming out, and of course throw submarines in there as well. And it's kind of crowded for only 12 players, but that may be a good thing. That's a lot of variety in a very small number, but it could also be a bad thing. Not enough cruisers to spot, not enough destroyers to spot, not enough cruisers to fulfill the role of cruisers, not enough battleships to tank. But that could go one way or the other. We could only really find out during testing. Another issue is, which is a much bigger issue than what I just mentioned, is the upcoming commander changes. The way the commander rework is set to happen, there's going to be a specific set of commander skills for each class. So if you haven't checked out my video on the commander rework, I'll put a link to it here. Each class will have its own set of skills currently. This is very early on in the development process, and to my knowledge, there hasn't been any widespread testing of these new skills just yet. I'm sure there's been plenty of in-house testing at Wargaming. But they would have to, of course, come up with new skills just for this battlecruiser class if they went that way. Which you could say, okay, just make all new cruisers, new battlecruisers battleships. Okay, that's certainly one way to do it, but then where would you put ships like Kronstadt, Alaska, and Puerto Rico? Ships with far too much armor to be tier 7 or 8 cruisers, and not large enough guns to be tier 7 or tier 8 battleships. So you would have to make them like they are now, tier 9 and 10 cruisers, or make a new battlecruiser role. Which, it wouldn't be the hardest thing ever to make new commander skills for these battlecruisers. And there's a couple of ships that are going to be quite shafted by the current iteration of the commander rework. One of which I'm very upset about, and fellow Siegfried owners can share my pain, and like I said, it's the Siegfried. Because if this commander rework goes through as is, Siegfried will no longer have a viable secondary build. And Siegfried is currently the only cruiser with viable secondaries. She's got good old German secondaries that can pin 32 millimeters of armor, and she's got the range, the accuracy, the reload, and a little less secondaries than I would like, but hey, they get the job done, currently at least with a full secondary build. So it's a cruiser you can kind of just smash W on and enjoy your day as you do so. But after the commander rework, it's going to get shafted quite a bit. And there's a couple other examples here and there about the commander rework that will kind of just dumpster a couple of ships. But we'll see how that goes so far. And those are the two biggest obstacles, honestly, in the way of a proper battlecruiser line getting added in by itself, standalone. And I would very much, again, like to see a standalone battlecruiser line for each country, but I think a more realistic way is maybe have another split in the battleship line of each country and add in battlecruisers there. Like we're seeing with the American battleship split. We're seeing fast battleships in one line, now we're seeing slow, heavily armored, lots and lots of guns, super dreadnoughts in another line. So maybe just a third line there to add in battlecruisers. And this could be applied to the Japanese battleship tech tree. They've had several battlecruisers in the past as well. The British tech tree, the German tech tree, even the Russian tech tree. I'm sure they'll make some up for those as well. I think that would probably be the best way to go for those battle cruisers that lean more toward the battleship side, like the Hood with her 15-inch guns. And then for the battle cruisers that lean more toward what we now know as super cruisers, they could easily continue to add them in as is, as higher tier quote-unquote super cruisers. Although it is a bit, unfair in matchmaking that a Stalingrad, which is a cruiser by its classification, could get matched up with something like a Zao. Which sure, Zao's a big old cruiser, but it's no Stalingrad. And I know the matchmaking is supposed to kind of match, similar ships together, but matchmaking still is far from perfect. But, maybe, again, adding in a battlecruiser line and a battlecruiser class would, of course, cut back on that, and that would greatly be appreciated in terms of matchmaking. But also, there are plenty of these super cruisers that are for free XP or for coal, that there's plenty of them enough around now to where that doesn't really happen too much anymore. That was more of a thing that was happening early on, Kronstadt's getting matched up against, Ibukis and things like that. But a proper line would, of course, nullify that. But I do think the way to go forward with this is to, again, just split the battleship lines, or maybe split the cruiser lines for super heavy cruisers, like the U.S. Navy likes to call the Alaska. You could split the cruiser lines for those. I think that would be a pretty good way to go for it. Because even if you go just read literature on battle cruisers, there's so much arguing over what exactly is a battlecruiser? Well, Graf Speer is a battlecruiser. No, it's not. It was a pocket battleship. Well, the Iowa class was a battleship. No, it was a battlecruiser. You know, God, it's crazy, and I know there's plenty of people that like to argue that the Iowas were a battlecruiser, not a battleship, but according to the U.S. Navy never constructed a battlecruiser in its existence. Lexington, which that would be a very nice ship to see added into the game. And, you know, with the way the game's going, it is running out of ships to put into the game. Like we talked about with the Italian battleships, that's the last real still battleship line they could add into the game, unless they maybe go with a Pan-American or a Pan-European battleship line. But there's plenty of battle cruisers that have yet to be added into the game. Like I mentioned just now, the Lexington. Then, of course, we have all the British battle cruisers, and then the German battle cruisers, and their plans for battle cruisers. So much possibilities, which I'm sure Wargaming is looking at adding in. It's just that, you know, I would like to see, I'm sure many of you guys too would like to see more and more of these ships get added in, rather than some other things they're focusing on right now, like submarines. I mean, you know, if submarines can be done right, I'm all for submarines getting added in, if they can be done right. But, you know, and hybrids too, you know, those are cool. We've all been waiting for those. But battle cruisers have really been anticipated for quite some time, properly being added to the game. Like I said, either with a line split or with its own class in and of itself. So Wargaming, if you're listening, come on, just throw us a bone or something. We'd like to see it. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Would you like to see battle cruisers get it added in much sooner than what we've been seeing so far with the submarine, the commander rework, the ranked rework, and all the other current stuff coming out into the game? Or are you satiated with what we currently have in the game right now and what's been announced so far? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 20,000 subs. We just passed 18,500, which is awesome, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday. Hope all of you Americans are out there and voting. It's going to be a very interesting day for all of us. But anyway, hope the rest of you guys are having a wonderful day. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.